I'm back. It's me. This is gonna be very serious. In this video, I'm gonna be talking about the explanation of how everything happened, everything came to be. I'm gonna try to cover as much as I can, or at least as much as I can remember. That being said, I'm gonna just try to be as genuine as possible, and just so people can understand, like, what exactly happened. It's not like one day I woke up and I'm like, oh hey, I'm gonna go talk to EDB. No, it did not happen like that at all. I'd like to start out with saying I want to give a massive thank you to Verdius. He actually stuck with me until the end. Unlike, some other people like Robert. I gave him the information, like I've showed him everything I had because he's been with me for so long at this point. And I understand that he's put in a lot of time and effort into what he's doing. So anytime I can't really talk about something, it's because there's either a legal contract involved or there's an active, ongoing police investigation. So anytime I can't say anything, I will say it's because of that reason. And I'd just like to say that Verdius, he's doing great work. He's been doing it for an entire year. I can't quite say what it is because, again, legal contract or police investigation. But trust me when I say this, he is a good man. I gave him the information so he could make a video on this and that he could present it more professionally than I can. And it would be easier to share along the commentary community. I would like to say how everything happened. And I want to say this because people are going to say that Chris Tyson thinks he's a woman or he's transgender. They're going to say that's the sole reason that you went after him. I'm going to say this right now. That's not true. That's not true at all. Although it is true that I don't think that people that say that they're the opposite gender, I don't think it's appropriate for them to be around kids and say those kinds of things and wear dresses or whatever. But at the end of the day, that hardly has anything to do with me talking about this pedophile art stuff or the fact that he was talking to a 13-year-old online. That has nothing to do with that. Him being transgender or gender dysphoric, whatever you want to call it, is its own separate thing. Look into Chris Tyson because of, oh, this guy's transgender, so we need to go find something to get him on. No, that might have been Joshua Moon's reason, but that is not my reason. I was concerned with what I had saw. This is how it started. I was on 4chan and I came across a post and people were posting about Chris Tyson's interest in pedophilic art. And when I saw that, I knew that this guy, Shadman or Shaddai Pergine, is bad news. And the fact that he's in the children's entertainment industry, there's pictures of him going to the Nickelodeon Kids' Choice Awards, was very concerning. And so I decided to look into it. From what I saw, I decided to look into it myself, and I found more and more disturbing stuff. And I did the research, and supposedly it originated, according to Joshua Moon, he's the guy who originally got that out there. So I'm going to give credit where credit is due. If that really was you, Joshua Moon, then I'm going to give you credit for that. And that's probably how I saw it on 4chan, because it probably made its way there, and then that's where I was first notified about this. Now, that out of the way, what happened was when I saw it and I started seeing more and more of this, when I started looking into it, I went to my step-parent and I told him about this, and he wanted me to put it in a document and show it to him because I guess he wanted to see everything I was showing him or telling him about. He wanted to see it. So I typed up a document, I put everything in there I found, and of course he was very disgusted by it. And he was telling me that I need to get this information out because it's it's disgusting, it's disturbing. And he was telling me that I should send it out to news sources like the Daily Mail. And that's exactly what I did, is I sent it out to news sources. I'm involved with the Turning Point chapters. If you don't know, Turning Point is a nonprofit organization owned by Charlie Kirk. I've met Charlie Kirk before. I've gotten my picture taken with him. Now, I know his driver and his security team. I had their contact information. I met them at a summit that I was invited to. And I can't really talk much about that because it wasn't really a public thing. I got invited because of my experience on Parris Island. So it really is a big expectation for me to try to get out this information because, we're genuinely concerned about this. And of course, the journalist that I spoke to, he said he typed something up, never happened. All the emails I sent never went anywhere. Tried to tell the guy who was Charlie Kirk's driver, and of course there was something that happened. I saw there's this guy, if you don't know who he is, his name is Michael Knowles. He works for the Daily Wire. I've met Michael Knowles before, and Charlie Kirk, he knows Michael Knowles. I don't know if this was because of me, but the weekend after I sent it to Charlie Kirk's driver, I saw Michael Knowles covered it, or at least a little bit of it, and I don't know if that was because of me or not. Maybe Charlie Kirk's driver gave it to Charlie Kirk, and then maybe he's like, okay, let me just give it to my friend Michael Knowles. I don't know if that happened. It very well could have. Maybe, if I had to guess, I would say maybe not. Maybe it's just a coincidence, but it happened around a similar time, so I honestly don't know. But that being said, after I exhausted all of my options, I didn't know what to do. I didn't know who to turn to. And then I saw Critical's video about EDP. And what happened then is, when I was at America Fest, for those of you that don't know, America Fest, think of it like a political convention almost. I spoke to the Atlanta Turning Point, he's the president of the Turning Point chapter in Atlanta. And me and him, we saw this dog at the event. He had a patch on him that said Pedo Hunter. And over dinner, I told him, hey, I'm not a hunter myself, but if there was anybody that I would hunt, I think I would go after EDP. And so I had looked into just stuff about EDP, and I saw he had a website, and I saw that there was a way to contact him. And that was like way before I discovered this stuff about Chris Tyson. And so when I saw Critical's video, I saw how desperate EDP was. Like he faked an interview with AI Obama. He was trying to say that him getting caught meeting up with a 13-year-old was supposed to be for a movie or something, a movie trailer. And he was saying that they tricked him and tried to frame him as a predator. Just wild, stupid stuff. And he photoshopped these emails. It's ridiculous. And so I saw that and I was like, wait a second. The answer's staring at me right in the face. It's like, hey, this guy is so desperate to try to make himself look good in any capacity because everyone knows who he really is. And I was thinking, hey, as long as the information gets out, why does it matter? I mean, I didn't want to be attached with this whole thing. I didn't want to be associated with this whole thing. If anything, I thought about passing it on to someone else. That's why I sent it out to news organizations. That's why I contacted a journalist, and that's why I did all these things to try to pass it on to someone else, because I didn't want to be associated with this. People, like my family and friends, were expecting me to get this out like it was my responsibility just because I discovered it. And it is a massive expectation when the guy who you're trying to expose or whatever has 250 million subscribers. Like what is that, 132 of the world's population? It's ridiculous. The thought popped in my head, you know what? I already thought about going after this guy. Why don't I get close to him And why don't I get this information out, kill two birds with one stone? So I go to his website, I pay the fee or whatever, and I set up an interview, and I pretend to be a show. Long story short, I convinced him that it would be beneficial for him to cover this information. Lo and behold, he did just that. And that's where the infamous "We Must Protect Our Kids" video came from. And for those of you that don't believe me, I will put the full unedited video. Only me and EDP had access to that video. So yeah, you guys gotta believe me, because it's nowhere else on the internet. There's no other video of EDP saying that doesn't have the cuts. Me and EDP are the only ones that had that video.
Holy shit, man. So my motherfucking main nigga, Chris Tyson, supports child porn. He's into that freak ass shit. That nasty ass, disgusting motherfucking shit, man. And see, we gotta protect our youth. We gotta protect our kids and our goddaughters and our nephews and our nieces and our cousins from weird ass freak motherfuckers like this. You feel me? If you guys don't know who the fuck Chris Tyson is a transgender, okay? Very popular YouTuber. Now, I'm the type of motherfucker to where I got nothing against gays. I got nothing against transgenders, nigga. If you want to chop your fucking dick off, split that shit down the middle like a Polish sausage and turn that motherfucker into a pussy through plastic surgery, you go right the fuck ahead. Whatever you do, that's your fucking decision. I don't give a shit. It ain't my fucking life. Why do I give a fuck? But when you start having an influence on how... Oh, man. When you start having an influence on the kids, on our youth, that's where I got a big fucking problem. You know what I mean? And so... Chris Tyson, he hangs out with Mr. Beast. Mr. Beast is one of the most popular YouTubers out there with over 150 million goddamn subscribers. Holy fucking shit. And Chris Tyson and Mr. Beast, they took a picture. I believe it's the Nickelodeon Kids' Choice Awards or some bullshit like that. I don't fucking know, man. Listen, dude, I don't watch that corny ass, gay, faggot ass fucking shit. Nickelodeon and Cartoon Network has drastically changed since when I was watching this shit, you feel me? I think it's corny as fuck, but that's neither here nor the fuck there. And Chris Tyson, excuse me if I'm all over the place, Chris Tyson, he was seen kissing his son on the lips. My nigga, it's your son. Me personally, that is some suspect ass freak fucking shit. You know what I mean? Basically, where I'm getting the whole child porn shit at is Chris Tyson is friends with somebody named, I think his name is Chadman, whatever the fuck his name is. And Chris Tyson and Shadman, excuse me, they're into lolicon. And if you guys don't know what lolicon is basically my nigga, the way I'm gonna describe it, lolicon is basically Japanese manga that is little kids getting fucked and getting sexually abused and sexually fucking molested by by their older parents through anime Japanese manga and the fucking weird ass, freak ass emo comic book type shits. You know what I mean? You know how like you get like the manga, the Japanese manga, little comics and shit like that. You know what I mean? That's basically what the fuck lolicon is. You feel me? Basically, it's little ass kids getting fucked in the ass and that type of shit. You know what I mean? It's kind of hard to explain. You guys know what the fuck I'm talking about though. And anybody, by the way, lolicon is actually illegal in the United States. You know what I mean? Any adult that supports this nasty ass, disgusting fucking shit, something is fucking wrong with you. Go get fucking help. You know what I mean? Me personally, how I feel is we gotta keep our fucking kids and our youth away from motherfuckers like Chris Tyson. and Shadman and whoever the fuck supports goddamn Lolicon, because that is some disgusting, over the top, just foul ass fucking shit, man. You know what I mean? And listen, man, me personally, I have a hard time, I have a hard time getting my fucking dick hard when I'm watching motherfucking porn and bitches are 20 years old, 19, 20 years old. I'm like, fuck that, man. I need a bitch that got some fucking wrinkles upon her fucking pussy, my nigga. I'm into that motherfucking granny porn, my nigga. I'm into motherfucking MILFs. I'm into cougars, you know what I mean? Like, bitch, you need a bush on your motherfucking pussy, my nigga, in order for me to get off to that shit. And it's just, I just don't understand how adults get off to little kids. You know what I mean? 10, 11, 12 years old. This motherfucker, Chris Tyson, he tweeted a fucking, he retweeted Chadman, I believe, correct me if I'm wrong. He retweeted something that said, damn, she looks good for a 4-year-old. It's like, bro, what the fuck is wrong with you, my nigga? Like, obviously you're fucked in the head. Obviously, something's wrong with you, my nigga. Obviously, nigga, you ain't playing with a full deck of cards. Like my nigga Samuel L. Jackson said, my nigga, not all your fucking dogs are barking. Something's fucking wrong with you, my nigga. You know what I mean? Obviously, something's wrong with you, my nigga, because you're fucking transgender and you decided to chop your fucking dick off, split that bitch down in the middle like a polar sausage, my nigga, and make that motherfucker into a pussy. You feel me? But again, my nigga, it's like, you're entitled to live life the way that you want to motherfucking live, you feel me? But when you start, putting your transgender ways and beliefs onto our kids who are like, super young, super vulnerable, they don't fucking know any better, you know what I mean? That's where I have a motherfucking problem. That's where I have the fucking issue. You know what I mean? And Mr. Beast, motherfucker, let me tell you something, bro. You got over 150 million motherfucking subscribers and shit. Ain't no motherfucking way in hell I would be hanging out with this motherfucker. Nigga, by you hanging out with this nigga, Chris Tyson and Shadman and all this shit. Now, I'm not sure if Mr. Beast hangs out with Shadman, but you damn sure hang out with Chris Tyson, you feel me? Now, by you hanging out with Chris Tyson, my nigga, that's not a good fucking look, bro. That's not a good ass fucking look, man. And trust me when I tell you this, my nigga. I know you might think that you're fucking invincible now and you can't be touched. You got all these fucking endorsements and shit like that. Trust me, my nigga. That shit can be yanked away just the fuck like that. You feel me? And by you hanging out with this nigga, bro, you're putting all that motherfucking shit in jeopardy. You know what I mean? Nigga, the 50 grand that you're posting on Instagram and shit, you know what I mean? Your beautiful ass life, your nice ass house, my nigga, your cars, your girlfriend, whatever the fuck, you know what I mean? By you hanging out with this motherfucker, you're putting all of that in jeopardy. Now, what I don't understand is, and it's like, going back to the whole lolicon thing, I just don't understand, like, how grown-ass men, grown-ass adults get off to little kids, you feel me, depictions of little kids. I don't give a fuck if it's, it's Japanese manga and it's comic books. You can twist and you can turn that fucking shit however fucking way you want to fucking turn it, my nigga, to make you not look like a goddamn freak. But at the end of the day, my nigga, lolicon is a form of fucking child porn. And the fact that you over here liking that shit, nothing gets my knob cranking more than some goddamn lolly. Damn, she look good for a 14-year-old. Damn, she's sexy as fuck for a 4-year-old. Oh my God. I will, like my nigga, what? Like my nigga, like I'm just... Listen, man, I mean, I go back to this, okay? Everybody has their own fetishes. Everybody has their own type of shit that they get off to. You feel me? But child porn is where I draw the motherfucking line, bro. Child porn, Nigga, fucking the Incestables, Dora the Explorer is getting fucked by a nigga with a 9-inch fucking cock, look like a fucking, getting fucked by a rhino dick and shit. It's like, I can't support that shit, bro. Chris Tyson, Shadman, go get fucking help. And by the way, these tweets, they're on fucking Twitter. I retweeted all of this shit, so it's not like the fucking tweets are fake. This shit is still out there on Twitter, my nigga. So, y'all can miss me with the bullshit. This is fucking real. I am not making this shit up. Go get help, motherfucker. Y'all niggas are some fucking freaks.
Yeah, so it worked just as I thought it would. And I saw it blew up. So there's friends that I knew that went to me and they're like, oh, look, holy crap, the thing that you did, it blew up. And they're showing me this. And yeah, I was like, yeah, it worked exactly how I thought it would. The information was getting out there because people thought it was funny, which I can see why people think it's funny because it's so ironic. I can see the humor in it, but on a more serious note, all the stuff about this is pretty messed up. What happened with that is EDP, I'm going to say this, is a terrible person. He is a piece of trash. He is terrible in every sense of the word. There's nothing good I can even say about him. He's that bad of a person. And I just gotta say, he was very lazy. I was sending him information piece by piece. It got to the point where I had to mess with his emotions just to have him keep covering all the Chris Tyson information. It sounds ridiculous, it sounds stupid, but that's what happened. And then that's when he released the video, Keemstar's a bitch video. And in there, you can see he talks about Keemstar because, you know, he's upset about the whole Keemstar thing. And he covers some more Chris Tyson stuff in there. And what happened after that is there was one last time in which a video he made, I saw there was a Some Ordinary Gamers podcast and Oopaville was in there. And Oopaville was calling EDP a delusional freak.
He's actually delusional. There's no question. Christ. He's a fucking delusional freak. He's a delusional freak.
And I saw that and I was like, you know what? I'm going to clip it. I'm going to send it to him. And I'm going to tell him, hey, you know, ready to cover more information? I got more to send. And what ended up happening is he didn't even want to cover Chris Tyson at that point. He instead was saying, oh, Oopaville's a bitch. Oopaville's a bitch. He was saying he scanned me. And that is when Oopaville doxed his phone number and I pretty much stopped talking to him. At least at that point. I did not trust him to do any editing in the Keemstar's a bitch video, so I had him print out the pictures. I'm just going to mention that as well. So I reached out to a total number of 50 people. I can't exactly remember who all the people are, but I wrote them down on a list somewhere. And I'm going to go over some of the people that I reached out to, some of the notable ones. One of the notable ones is Chris Tyson's wife, Katie Tyson. I went through notaries and I was able to find out, you know, where she was, and I was able to send her a package, a FedEx package. She signed for it, she picked it up, and in the package was evidence about all the stuff that I was going to cover at the time. I don't think I sent her everything, but I sent her quite a bit that didn't look good. And of course, she never reached out to me, but at the same time, I know she never told Chris Tyson about it because otherwise he would have deleted all the messages. So that kind of shows what kind of relationship they have, but that's none of my business. Another person that I had reached out to was one of their former editors, Matt Turner.
Yo, what's up, Martin? Thank you very much for your concern. I'm good. I checked your Twitter that you said to contact me on. I saw a lot of alt-right stuff. All good. I'm set. I'm definitely going to take this cameo just to run up the clock and then dip out. But thank you for wanting me to contact you. It's not happening. Peace and love. I'm giving it 30 seconds here. Okay. Bye.
Just gonna say that people make fun of this guy online, and I'll say for good reason. So Matt Turner's reputation is he's a laughing stock because of the fact that he tried to expose Mr. Beast for, I don't know, being a mean employer or something. Something like that. Like, it's stupid. So he had a disagreement with him over, like, workplace environments. Just something really minor like that. And people just, like, were ragging on him for it. And he now had the opportunity to actually talk about something legitimate. And he passed up the opportunity. You want to guess why? Because of my politics. He saw that I met Kyle Rittenhouse in person.
The shooting left 2 people dead and another injured.
And he was saying I was Matt Turner said I was alt-right. I just think it's ridiculous. I do think that the fact that he let politics get in the way, I think that whole attitude is very stupid. The fact that he sits there and goes, yeah, you know what, I know you have some information about this, but you saw Kyle Rittenhouse, so yeah, you know what, I'm just gonna keep screwing myself further. I don't understand that attitude from him. I mean, that's the thing, is people, they're going to sit here and they're going to be very surprised about the EDP thing. But one thing I want to mention is I did try to reach out to Chris Hansen. And Chris Hansen got my message because I reached out to him on Cameo. I understand that Cameo is not really a messenger app, but still I let him know the situation. He asked me to contact him further about it.
Hey Martin, Chris Hansen here. Thanks for reaching out. You can reach me at nbcchristhansen@gmail.com. That's nbcchristhansen@gmail.com, and put Cameo in the subject matter, subject line, and I'll take a look at everything you have. Thanks so much.
I followed his instructions and he ghosted me completely. So don't say I didn't try to reach out to Chris Hansen. I did reach out to Chris Hansen. I'll put the video right here as well. One of the people I thought of reaching out to was Sam Hyde. And the reason that I thought about reaching out to Sam Hyde was because I saw that, you know, people were saying that he was alt-right and he was getting canceled. And I know he still is on YouTube and he's still on other social media platforms, but he had like his payment systems cut off. And I understand that he had a show that was on Cartoon Network that was also canceled because of his political views. And I was sitting here thinking, you know, this guy actually might want to help me out with this. And so I was thinking about how would I even reach out to Sam Hyde. Of course, I tried to reach Tom Heidecker because that's someone that's associated with him. Let's just say I reached his office guy. His office guy wasn't too happy to speak with me, especially when I mentioned Sam Hyde, I guess. That was a bust. I will say I saw Airsoft Fatty was in his show Fish Tank, and he was hanging out with him, and I thought, wait a second. iDubbbz did a documentary about Airsoft Fatty, and in that documentary, he has one of his friends there, Robert. And so I decided to reach out to Robert because I couldn't get a hold of Airsoft Fatty, and I got a hold of Robert. And so Robert, he told me that, oh yeah, he stopped talking to Airsoft Fatty, he didn't have contact with him, and that was at the time. And yeah, I explained the situation to him and he wanted to help out, so he came along for the ride. And so one of the other people I was thinking of contacting was Calvin. I don't want to say his full name, but I'll just say Calvin. Leafy is here, you guys might know him as. And the reason why I wanted to contact him might shock you guys. It's not because of what he's done online. It's not because of his following or anything, because in fact he actually doesn't have his YouTube channel anymore, and he's banned off of Twitter or X. It's because of where he lives. He lives in Salt Lake City, Utah, and that's the same place as the Latter-day Saints. And I was thinking that, okay, you know, that might be an important area because of the fact that, you know, they're associated with Mr. Beast. Maybe there's something that can happen there. I don't know. So I tried to contact Leafy is here. I donated to his stream, told him to check out that. He said, oh, okay, I'll check this out. Never did. So I contacted his mutuals, and they talked to him about it. Supposedly, they sent me a screenshot that they DM'd him or whatever. They wanted to interview me, and they wanted to interview, I brought along Robert for the interview, and of course, I still have the interview. What happened in there is, of course, Robert, he's pretty disgusted by this stuff too, and he said some very rash things, because keep in mind, Robert's not all mentally there. He has some mental illness, and I mean this, and I'm not in trying to insult him, that he can't help it. And I'm gonna say this, like, I do treat him respectfully, because it's not, he can't really control that. And he's not completely devoid of a moral compass. He thought all the stuff that I was telling him was disgusting as well about this guy, and he said some very rash things, which I don't think he should be held accountable for, because of the fact that he's in a different kind of mental state. He lives in a group home.
What Chris Tyson has done or is doing, honestly, from what I've heard of Mr. Beast is a pretty cool dude. But from what I've heard recently of Chris Tyson, I kind of want to murder the bastard.
Oh no. We don't want any physical
You want to
harm.
what?
No.
I plead the fifth. Never mind.
I'm
Can you
not
repeat
a
that?
part of
Can you repeat that? Can you repeat
That's
that real quick?
Robert saying
Can you
that.
say that
That's
again?
Robert. I don't approve of that. He had threatened Chris Tyson. He said that he wanted to, I'll just say, hurt the guy, and I told him that I do not support that. I do not condone that. Yeah, definitely no violence towards him. I do not want any of that. Yeah, I mean, obviously we never got in contact with Leafy. I did get his address at one point. I was thinking about sending a package. I never did that because, you know, at this point, he should already be aware. And if not, like, I've done multiple attempts at contacting him, and I don't know, man. I don't think he was too up for it. I was brainstorming with Robert. I was trying to think of ways that I could draw attention to this whole thing, maybe try to, like, release the information somehow. One of the ideas was he really seemed to have a grudge against iDubbbz because of the whole documentary. He's still very salty about that. He holds a lot of anger and resentment towards iDubbbz because he's, at least from what he told me, he didn't really mean everything he said, and it's very clear that he was in a vulnerable state because the guy is mentally, he has some mental challenges. And I'm not saying he's slow, I'm saying that he's not all there necessarily, and he didn't necessarily mean all the stuff that he said. And so he was still very upset by that. I came up with the idea of, hey, well, you know, if you still have something against that guy, because he said something more extreme. Robert said, oh, I want to find that guy's house and I want to kill him. I told him, hey, well, that's extreme. And so I told him that, you know, there's a better way. And of course, the idea was, hey, you know, we're already in contact with this guy, Bryant Moreland. Let's just get him to call iDubbbz a
Hey, yo, Joma, a.k.a. my motherfucking main nigga iDubbbz. What's up with it, bruh? It's your boy, Eat That Pussy 445. Let me talk to you for a minute, man. Because I'm hearing on the street, my nigga, that you are a motherfucking cuck, that you get pleasure out of seeing your wife fuck other niggas.
We could just get EDP to call iDubbbz a cuck. And that's exactly what I did. And that's how that video was made. Now, regarding Chris Chan, I saw that Chris Chan was in the news again, or news cycle online. And of course, I had been keeping track of his court date that was coming because I needed someone that would actually just fully cooperate because EDP was not very cooperative. And I was thinking of having Chris Chan cover and get out all this information. Obviously, these people, they're not my first choice. Obviously, I reached out to a lot of people. And of course, what ended up happening was there was also another thing that was going on with Shadman, because I thought about talking to that guy himself. And of course, he also had a court date. So I talked to someone that I knew was in California on Discord. And of course, I bought the court record from the Glendale courthouse. And so I knew where Shadman was going to be, or Shaddai Pergine. I knew when and where he was going to be. And so this guy was supposed to go see him in person there at the courthouse. He was supposed to stake it out. He was supposed to see him there in person. Meanwhile, I was going to be going to Virginia and seeing Chris Chan and, staking out the courthouse, speaking to Chris Chan, trying to get him to cover it. What ended up happening was the day of the court date, it was hit by two natural disasters, Shadman's courthouse. And of course, they had to reschedule it. And pretty much the guy got cold feet and he didn't want to go and see Shadman, I guess, at that point when it was rescheduled, which is a shame because I might have been able to get into contact with him. I honestly don't know. And maybe this would have provided more insight as to this whole thing, what was going on here. And so with the Chris Chan thing, I took me and my business partner and we went to Virginia. We drove halfway across the United States. We searched the Chesterfield Gateway homes because we believed he was there. That's where people speculated he was being held at. And we looked for Chris Chan. We did not see him there. It was a group home for mentally challenged people. On the day of the court date, what we did was we showed up early. We sat there. I had my business partner stay in the front. I checked around the back because we didn't know where he was going to show up. Eventually, I was just nervous by the overwhelming amount of police there. So I moved to the front with him, and then lo and behold, Chris Chan pulls up, and I'm like, yep, see, told you, I knew he was going to come here. And actually him right there. Crazy, man. I told you, literally. I pull out my phone quickly, try to record him, go walking into the courthouse. Of course, we wait for him to get out. I have a letter just in case he has an enabler or, bodyguard something present. Sure enough, he comes on out and it's the lawyer from the Quickie. And what ends up happening there is I don't get to speak to him that long, but I'm able to give him the letter with my contact information, and he never got back to me. And of course, we're not going to give up on this. So we went to Branchland. He wasn't there either, and Barbara was there. She came out. We didn't really want to speak with her. We had no business with her. We just took off at that point. We're like, yeah, he's not here. Let's just go. And yeah, of course, I spoke with some other people that were associated with him at some point in time because I think I was trying to still get in contact with them. Eventually, at one point, I was DMing Gino Samuel. He wasn't really too interested in talking to me at all, so I guess, whatever, because this is kind of something that I think he'd be interested in putting in his documentary, but whatever. It's not like I planned things to happen this way. It's not like I knew Joshua Moon was the guy that got this out at the time, and I was like, oh, I gotta go see Chris Chan, the Kiwi Farms. No, he was in the news cycle, and I was like, okay, well, people are paying attention to this guy. I could get him to release the information, and that'd be that. It just so happened that the guy that got me involved was just the owner of Kiwi Farms. I had no idea. I didn't know about this at the time. And so, of course, Chris Chan, I recorded a video when I got back that details, how he acted. Of course, Jesus, I saw the Sonichu medallion in person. Heck, I got one right here. because, you know, I saw, by the time I got back, I saw he was selling the Sonichu medallions again. I'm like, I'll get one. So I got one, wore it because, you know, I guess people are going to want to spread it around if I put it on. I don't know. Yeah, one thing I want to mention is another person I DM'd on Twitter. I had no idea that this person was associated with Chris Chan so closely. I thought it was maybe someone that had contact with them. I thought it was someone that just isn't really genuine with him. But it's some person named Helena Forenza. I don't know much about them. And of course, I was trying to explain the situation the best I can, but I couldn't say everything. So I couldn't mention the information I was trying to get out. And what ended up happening was they were trying to get me to become a writer for the Sonichu comics. I declined the offer. I did not take them up on the offer because, well, there's things I want to do in the future. It doesn't have anything to do with the Sonichu comics, and I don't want to be known as the Sonichu fan fiction guy, or not fan fiction, but you know, the Sonichu writer guy. That I don't want to be. I don't want to do that. But you know what? Who knows? Maybe in the future. Maybe I might take them up, and maybe I might write a chapter for the Sonichu comics. You never know. I could. But in the meantime, I said no. Okay? I didn't outright say no. I just was more focused on getting out the information, if that makes any sense. So I also contacted a Cheeto at one point. What happened with that was I was in his Discord, and there's someone that talks to him on a semi-regular basis. I saw he was in a voice chat with him at one point. And of course, he tells him about this, and he tells me that he said, like, I explained everything, by the way. I explained everything that happened, and he said, I don't care. I already know he's a groomer. So, yeah, there we go. So he didn't want to help me out with that because I don't know why. He just didn't really care that much. So, yeah, Cheeto could have covered this, but I guess he didn't want to. So, I don't know. That's on him. After many months later, I decided that because of this wild goose chase adventure, this whatever you want to call it, this journey, you know, pretty much almost a year went by at this point, or a year went by, and still the information has not gotten out. And so, of course, I ran into this problem, and I was like, you know what, at this point, maybe I could just use the fact that I tried to have EDP help me expose this. But at the same time, I couldn't say who it was because I was worried about them deleting everything, because I saw Chris Tyson delete these tweets. I saw Chris Tyson cover up stuff. So I made the video. EDP is helping me expose the scandal. And what happened is, after I made that video, this girl who I should not name, that was a victim of EDP, decided to contact me and say that she was really upset about the fact that EDP was helping me try to get this out. So I was like, man, this is terrible. This is absolutely terrible. So I decided, I'm like, you know what if I contact Gideon? I could get Gideon to cover this then. Or not Gideon to cover this, but I can get Gideon to reveal it in a live stream. You can't pick out the parts. Yeah, so basically, I went on to Gideon's live stream, and I explained what was going on. The only person, and this is going to sound insane, but I can prove it, the only person that has actually agreed to help me is the one person that everybody knows is a predator, and that's EDP445. I am not lying. I can prove this.
That's the guy that agreed to help you?
Yes. And of course, he friended me on Discord. He did not do things the way that I asked to have them done, because I was really worried about someone trying to cover up information or pick information out, or just completely taking it and, just saying that they found it when in reality they didn't when I found it. And or I spent a pretty long time doing this. So at this point, I gotta have my name attached because I've just gone through so much. And of course, he wanted me to send him everything. I told him in the live stream that I didn't want to send it to him and that I wanted to do it in a live stream. So that being said, after that, of course, Verdius, I mentioned Verdius. I can't talk very much about him because, again, legal contracts are ongoing police investigations. So I can't say anything about him. I will say he's a very good man. He's been doing very good work for about a year. And so now I gotta talk. I cannot talk too much about this, but Mike Klum. Oh boy. Mike Klum offered, he wanted to get me in the documentary, and I can't say my interaction with Mike Klum before this or what led to my introduction to Mike Klum, because like I said before, legal contracts or ongoing police investigations. So I can't say much about that. All I can say is that I might end up in the documentary whether I like it or not. That's all I can say, is that because I feel like I've been pushed, pulled, all this other stuff. Lastly, on this whole special ed journey, if that's what you want to call it, on this strange journey, of course, me and Verdius, we contacted the person that Chris Tyson was talking to, since this guy was 13 and Chris Tyson was 20, I believe. He was in college, making friends with a middle schooler and talking to him online. And of course, he admitted to this in the interview. But I'm gonna have to do another part. I've been talking for a pretty long time. It's hot as hell outside, so I'm gonna take a break. One thing I want to say is this, and this is about Mr. Beast, is I understand that he's done a lot of good. He's cured people of blindness. He's done a lot of charity. But the thing is, this has just been weighing on me for such a long time now. It's been just over a year. And the thing is, every single time I see Mr. Beast brought up, and this is just me being genuine, I just feel disgust. And the reason why is because all this stuff about like just pedophilia, like the pedophilic art, and that him talking to like making friends with a 13-year-old and talking about inappropriate topics, and him kissing his son on the lips and all this other stuff. It's just been, when I have to sit down, have dinner with my family or hang out with my friends, and for a year just talk about EDP this, Shadman this, Chris Tyson this. It's draining. It really is draining. This whole thing has been a blight on me. And every single time that I see his face pop up, and every single time I see like he's apparently getting his own box at a fast food chain I eat at, I just feel disgust. Because this whole thing has just been a very unpleasant experience for me. It's been very terrible. It's something that's been weighing on me. It's something that has been stressing me out. It's something that I've just had to deal with for a year. Nothing good has pretty much come out of this, okay? It's been nothing but bad for me. I mean, of course, I definitely had some unique experiences from this, but at the end of the day, it's just been terrible. And every single time I see Mr. Beast's face, I just get reminded of this, and I'm just tired of seeing his face. And again, I understand that, he's probably a good guy behind the scene. So he's probably a really great guy. But just my experience with this whole thing, it's just terrible. This whole thing has just been a very terrible experience for me for over a year, because my family and friends have been really wanting me to get this out. And it's just like, I haven't really gotten to go do all the stuff that I was doing before. Like, I used to go to these Turning Point meetings. I used to get active and do stuff. with the Turning Point stuff. But I just haven't been able to go there for a year because I contacted the regional manager guy, if that's what you want to call him. And of course he asked me to send him this. I sent him this. And of course he never returned my phone calls. And if I were to go there, the only thing I'd be talking about is what I was working on this whole time, this tremendous task. And it's just been draining on me. And it's just been hammering on me every single day. But I know I have to put up with it because it's the right thing to do. And at the end of the day, I had to put my ass on the line and my reputation on the line just because I was trying to do the right thing. I'm very genuine about this. This whole thing has just been very terrible because of this guy being in the children's entertainment industry. And I think it's really messed up that this responsibility has been placed on me to get out just because I discovered it. And I think at the end of the day, I'm just saying, this whole thing about these creeps and these terrible people, it's just talking about them every single day. I don't think I have the stomach for it. I really don't. Because I don't know how Chris Hansen does it. Because whenever I go to eat with my family, I don't want to talk about these things. But it was a necessary thing to talk about because of all this stuff that was happening and the expectation of me getting it out. It was a very unpleasant experience, and every single time that I hear about Mr. Beast or see all this, I just get reminded of this terrible stuff that I've been through at this point. And I don't want to hear about Mr. Beast anymore. I don't want to see his face. But he's the largest content creator on YouTube, or one of them. So I just keep seeing his face over and over again. And me personally, I don't like it. I don't like it. And that's the thing, is that I'm sure he's a great guy, but it's just my experience with this whole thing. It's just been terrible. It's hard to put it into words, but I'm trying to do the best I can. This whole thing, it's just been terrible. That's how I would describe it at the end of the day. Just been terrible. Seriously. You honestly think I wanted to talk to a guy like EDP? You honestly think I want to talk to a guy like Chris Chan after the things that came out about him and what he did? Sure. I will admit I was entertained by the meme status a little bit. I did enjoy that. But do you honestly think I sat there and go, wow, I really talked to a guy that did these things to his own mom, allegedly? It's like, no. It's a very terrible thing. It's terrible. And at the end of the day, of course, there's a lot of terrible people out there, and I know you can interact with all these terrible people, but I don't want to associate with these people, and it puts me in a very awkward place where I hardly have any options to get this out. It puts me in an awkward place because when my stepfather tells me, by any means necessary, get this out, and I take him for his word, by any means necessary, that means talk to a predator to expose a predator, and that means stake out a courthouse to try to get out this information. That means do all these crazy shenanigans to just get this out. It's insane. This whole thing has just been batshit insane. It's been a shit show from the start. And frankly, I don't want to deal with this. But I know I have to. And I know I'm eccentric. I know I'm goofy. I know I'm all this stuff. But at the end of the day, EDP is a terrible person. He's a piece of trash that will be cleaned up soon. Trust me when I say that. He will be cleaned up soon. And I don't mean he's not getting murdered. I'm saying that piece of trash is going to get cleaned up soon. I can't say anything about it legally, but trust me on this. This whole thing's been terrible. It's how all I can describe it. It's just terrible. And I'm just ranting and venting at the end because I just want people to know, like, imagine a full year of your life where you deal with, like, I don't think most people can even, like, comprehend just trying to get information out about someone that has someone that's on a team of 250 million subscribers. It would be unimaginable to them. But here I am right now, trying to do it. And if this doesn't work, what I'm going to do at this point is just move on with my life and drop this and not worry about this. And I guess that means he got away with it, because what else can I do at this point? It's been something that has just crept into every single aspect of my life. It's just been very unpleasant. It's been very terrible. And I guess what I'm saying is that's what I just associate Jimmy with at this point when I see his face. And that's the thing, is I know he hardly had anything to do with this, but I don't know. I honestly don't know. I don't know how much of this he knew. I mean, the poster is right in front of his face. Like, come on. Like, oh my God. Seriously. I'm just telling you, that's what goes through my mind. And I'm just sick and tired of dealing with this whole thing. I just want to get it over with because I want to move on to other things. There is something there is something positive that came out of this. And I'm very politically involved, if you haven't learned that already, with the Turning Point stuff and just the stuff I focus on. I founded a nonprofit because of this whole thing that's happened to me. This whole thing that's terrible. This whole thing of me just trying to get out this information, but at the same time, I just can't cover it because I'm so small. What came of this was a nonprofit that I founded because I realized that, of course, Jimmy, I know he claims that, the stance that I take is, I'm pro-transgender. But, the stuff that you had back in the day, we know what you really think. And, of course, when you're making fun of transgenders, saying that you want to become an Apache attack helicopter, you put on pieces of cardboard on your arm, or whoever did that was in there, I can't remember who that was. We know what you really think about it. And, of course, all I want to say is I think it's very terrible that you ever have to be in the position where you can't actually embrace what you actually believe in. And I think a lot of this stuff that comes about this is because YouTube is a monopoly. And that's true, and that's a problem. And this is something that is completely separate from this whole thing. But this is what came from this whole shenanigan, this whole goose chase, if you want to call it, this journey. I do think that YouTube needs a serious competitor, and I have found a solution. People scoff at Rumble. They put Rumble down as a backwater website. They are right. It is. It's not viable at the moment, but they have all the infrastructure for it to become viable, and that's something I want to try to work on. Is I want to make it my personal mission to make Rumble a viable service just like YouTube. Because frankly, I think it's terrible how all these content creators are under YouTube's boot. I think it's terrible with all the political censorship stuff that happens. I think personally, because if you know about Project Veritas and you know about the Twitter files, you already know what's going on behind the scenes with like big tech corporations. I want to make sure that there's an actual competitor to YouTube and that their monopoly comes to an end. That is something that came from this that I think is very